Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again. Hold on. Something doesn't feel right here. Is it my clothes? Hold on. There we go. Much better. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. West Virginia is going through a bit of growing pains right now, and a lot of the fans, they're not feeling it. They don't like it. They haven't seen enough progression. They didn't see a major step forward like they were hoping this year. And a lot of fans want to fire Neil Brown right now. Not even through year 3. It seems like West Virginia fans forget that in the 3rd season of Dana Holgerson, West Virginia went 4-8, including that loss to Kansas. And y'all want Neil Brown fired after a 4-6 start, even though we've upset a few people, and we've been in pretty much every game except for the Baylor game and the Oklahoma State game. Think about it, guys. Come on. And yeah, I am specifically talking to you morons that want Holgerson back. Let's go back in history and look at how Dana Holgerson was doing in his 3rd year. Not very good. 4-8 with the loss to Kansas. So at worst, Neil Brown would duplicate that. We lose out, go 4-8, and lose to Kansas. That would be the same exact thing as Holgerson. And that would be worst case scenario. Texas is giving us a prime example of what happens when you fire a coach every 3-4 years. They fired Tom Herman last year after his 4th season. He went 7-6, then 10-4, 8-5, then 7-3. They started off, finished 7th in the Big 12, 2nd in the Big 12, 6th, and then 4th. Well, this year, they're a train wreck because you can't build a football program when you fire your coach every 3 or 4 years. That's not how you do it. And last night was probably the lowest of the low for Texas. They lose at home in overtime to lowly Kansas, 57-56. Kansas was on an 8-game losing streak. They run a 56-game losing streak in the Big 12 for road games. And they were 0-9 in Austin. This is how low Texas is right now. Here are the losses Kansas had before they beat Texas. At Coastal Carolina, 49-22. Baylor, 45-7. At Duke, 52-33. At Iowa State, 59-7. Texas Tech, 41-14. Oklahoma, they actually had a good game against Oklahoma, 35-23. At Oklahoma State, 55-3. And then Kansas State, 35-10. Texas is now on their own 5-game losing streak. And it all started when they blew a 3-touchdown lead against Oklahoma. So they lost to Oklahoma 55-48. They lost to Oklahoma State 32-24. They lost at Baylor 31-24. They lost at Iowa State 30-7. And then this week, they lose to lowly Kansas 57-56. This is bad for Texas. Kansas ended up having 420 offensive yards. Texas had 574, so they really didn't have any problems moving the ball. Now, at one point, Kansas led Texas 35-14. Of course, they blew that lead. I was like, the same thing that happened against Oklahoma is going to happen against Texas. They look like, they're going to surprise somebody, but Texas will come back and beat them. And Texas did come back. But somehow, Kansas battled through it and pulled it off. Texas sent the game into overtime. They scored a touchdown. Kansas scored a touchdown. They decided to go for 2, and they converted. Jalen Daniels threw a 2-point conversion pass to Jarrett Casey, who hadn't caught a pass all season. That was his first catch for the entire season. I'm not just talking about a touchdown catch. Any catch. This is why I had faith that West Virginia will finish the season beating Texas and at Kansas. In fact, the tougher game might be at Kansas. Texas is a bad team right now. Does Texas fire Steve Sarkisian after his first season? Wouldn't surprise me. This is bad. This should not happen. This is worse than when West Virginia went on the road and lost to Kansas in 2013. This is worse than that. So the worst season for Texas under Tom Herman was that first season when they went 7-6. Texas has to win out to even match that. Texas could finish with a losing record. Texas and West Virginia both are 4-6 right now. The good thing for West Virginia is we finish off with the worst teams of the Big 12, Texas and at Kansas. Man, Texas might not make a bowl. That's crazy. But you know what? That's what happens when you think that your standards are higher than what you're actually at. And you fire a coach because they didn't win the Big 12. They didn't get us to the playoffs. Yeah, you're not there yet. Now, Casey Thompson, he had a pretty good game. 30 for 43, 358 yards, 6 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. Now, the quarterback for Kansas, Jalen Daniels, 21 for 30, 202 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This was the biggest difference, though. Running back Devin Neal, the running back for Kansas, 24 carries for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. The running back for Texas, the Heisman hopeful at the beginning of the season, Bijan Robinson, only 14 carries for 70 yards. They only handed the ball off to one of their best players 14 times. That's bad coaching right there. You can't do that. And one of the biggest problems for Texas in this game, 4 freaking turnovers. Now, usually if you commit 4 turnovers and shoot yourself in the foot against Kansas, that's fine. It might be closer than you want it to be, but you know, you'll beat Kansas. No. You can afford 4 turnovers against Kansas. That was 1 too many against Kansas. Lowly Kansas. So yeah, there's some big time questions in Texas going on. In their next game, well, they get to go to Morgantown where West Virginia is trying to get to a bowl as well. West Virginia will beat Texas. I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. And of course, this is going to kick off the annual Horns Down Week. Now, if Texas and Oklahoma do indeed go to the SEC next year, West Virginia beats Texas, then the record would stand at an even 500. I think 5 wins for West Virginia and 5 wins for Texas. 5-5 against lowly West Virginia. That's what your record will be against West Virginia if you move on to the SEC next year. Think about that. And you think that you're going to compete in the SEC? It's going to be horrible for you. It's going to be a complete nightmare. Oh, the SEC will help us in recruiting. You're Texas. That's not going to be that big of a difference. It might help you a little bit, but you already recruit well. You're Texas. So really, the only thing that's going to the SEC is going to do for you is give you tougher competition. You might not have a winning season for the first 5 years in the SEC. It could be that bad. I mean, you might have to watch out for Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt is better than Kansas, and Kansas beat you. I mean, Arkansas already beat you, and they're in the lower tier of the SEC West. Mississippi State, they would beat you. Texas A&M, they would whoop you. Ole Miss would put up 70 points on you. LSU would beat you. Auburn definitely would beat you. Alabama would make a laughingstock out of you. Even in the SEC East, I think Vanderbilt would give you a battle. In fact, based on the results against Kansas, Vanderbilt would probably beat you this year. South Carolina would beat you. Kentucky would beat you. Tennessee would beat you by 3 touchdowns. Kentucky would absolutely destroy you. And Georgia just might make you want to quit football. Florida would even beat you. The clown, Dan Mullen, would beat you if you were in the SEC this year. So I don't know why Texas fans are getting their hopes high. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. And, you know, I get that they brought in Steve Sarkisian because they are transitioning into the SEC. And he came out of Alabama under Nick Saban. And they thought, you know, that would help with the transition. No. Obviously, that's not going to work. Well, we're not actually in the SEC yet. Yeah, you just got beat by Kansas, though. Kansas is worse than any stinking team in the SEC. Good luck getting to the SEC championship. That might not happen for a couple of decades. Texas, they might not get a single... If they were in the SEC this year, they probably wouldn't get a single win. If you can't beat Kansas, you're not even beating Vanderbilt. That's how bad it is in Austin right now. Oh, and if you think that Horns Down is bad in the Big 12, oh man, the SEC is going to let you have it because you're not the big dog in town anymore. The SEC officials aren't going to kiss your rear end like the Big 12 officials do. I actually think that they made that a penalty just to try to keep Texas. It didn't work. They're going to the SEC. And the SEC fans, man, they're brutal. They're going to let you have it. So get used to this. Get used to this for a long time. And I'm not just talking about certain fan bases. Every fan base is going to do it. You're going to eat. You're going to sleep. You're going to dream. You're going to defecate Horns Down for the rest of your life because it's going to be shoved down your throat. And I don't think the SEC officials are going to call a penalty on it. They might actually laugh. So this coming Saturday, Texas at West Virginia. The winner will probably get to a bowl. The loser will miss a bowl. And I have faith that West Virginia will definitely beat Texas. Texas just lost to Iowa State last week 30-7 in a blowout. West Virginia actually beat Iowa State. And then, of course, Texas got beat by Kansas. Wow. So I am 100% positive that we will be queuing Country Roads and we will be queuing Horns Down. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.